Thanks for joining. I just thought I'd do a quick live because of this new set of grids that Telmo and I have been working on for a giveaway. So I know a lot of people are stuck at home and hello Molly. I know a lot of people are stuck at home and some people are scared and people are quite frustrated and people are angry. So I thought that as the pads are being made, and I'm quite nervous about the pads as well, that I would do something to help you guys sort of prepare for them. So as you know, the Rhodia, the Clairefontaine PA Scribe pad is a wonderful blue color, and it has my grid on it, which is a really specific grid. So you can just see the grid as you start to change the angle of the light. So it's all about the direction of the light and where the light sits. Now that grid will help you to do so many different things. So I'm still in the product testing phase. So we have some Molotov pens and some inks from India and lots of different things. You can do modern calligraphy on it. You can do large calligraphy. Some of the new Sakura Moonlight pens are absolutely phenomenal on this. But I'll go through those in more detail a little later on. Obviously, there's the black pad, which I know people are really itching to get, which, I don't blame you. And again, the Molotov chrome pens work really well on this. The Sakura pens work wonderfully on it. And I'm just going to tilt this. Let's see if we can get some light on the lines. So you can't really see there you go. So the lines sort of disappear when you try to take a picture for Instagram, which, sort of was the point, because obviously what's the point in making a pad if it's not for Instagram, right? Anyway, obviously kidding. Lots of really interesting products. These are the Karen markers and how some of their new metallic markers work really beautifully on this black. Even their black marker on this black pad is really, really glorious. Tested some of the Caran d'Ache Luminance super color pens. Some of the Derwent metallic pencils work brilliantly on the black as well. So there's a lot that's going on. And I'm sure you remember this from a couple of weekends ago with the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. And then the grey pad. So the grey pad is, I love the black and the grey pad. I love my pad with my grid on it. But seeing people's reaction to the grey pad has been really quite spectacular. And I'm glad that I'm not actually doing this writing so that I can lift the pad up, the sheets up and flex it so you can see how bright those colors are. Especially the metallics, they work really, really beautifully. Here again are those Sakura pens, which are absolutely glorious pens, really, really beautiful. And again, the Karen markers with their solid metallics and some of their brighter colors. So I have some more tests to share with you. And I will be sharing a lot more tests now that we're all going to be stuck at home. But I wanted to show you this little giveaway. So this is the giveaway grid. It's not available yet. When it's available, we'll post it so that you can see it and go crazy and spend tons of time at home practicing on it. Now, the point of this grid is to help you. Now, I've been working on trying to find different ways to get people to understand my approach to Copperplate script. I have a really specific approach to Copperplate script. In fact, I actually call my Copperplate script PA Scribe Copperplate. And that's because I go down on the 55, go around a little ball and come back up on the 55. This dramatically changes the way in which you write the script. However, it's not just a matter of going down on the 55 and up on the 55. I've also worked out a really specific proportion for the height of the script. Now, most people tell you the height of the letters, but what they never really tell you is the width of the letters. And so this grid that I've developed works with this new parallelogram based on what I sort of worked on with the manual. Now, I'm just going to show you roughly a little bit of the approach for these new grids. So when they're launched, obviously once they're launched, they'll be available to download. And once you download them, you just go to the PA Scribe Calligraphy Classes group on Facebook. There'll be an album set up there. And, you know, I'm trying to encourage people to post work in that album so that I can correct it and help people with their Copperplate script while they're sitting at home. So just remember, my approach with Copperplate script, with all the scripts I do, is very, very methodical. It has a very strong geometric understanding, a very strong geometric base. So I thought one of the problems that a lot of people have, two big problems people have, are one, the spacing of the letters, and two, the sort of internal space of the letter. So not just the space of the letter, but the space of the ligature to the other letter. So I developed this grid, and by working through the basic structure, you get a better sense of how the letters sit together. So instead of doing an I, most people do an I and they come across and they go up and they come down and then they go across. Well, this and that are two different angles. So what I would do is, let's just zoom in there. I would go down, around, up, down, around, and up. Sorry, the phone's right in front of my face. I can't actually get to where I'm writing. So basically what you're going to end up with is, I'm just going to zoom out because this is quite close. What you're going to end up with is this. Now, this is not going to look like Copperplate, but it's a skeletal understanding of this particular sort of ligature. So we go Now, obviously, these are really large circles here and here that you're going around. But the aim of this particular grid is to get you to slow down. So have you noticed how slowly I'm taking the circles? I'm actually pressing a little bit, and you know this Blackwing pencil is really great for this kind of pressure. Press, release, press, release, press, press, press. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So all of these areas have a little bit of pressure on them, and the areas between them don't. So what that's doing is it's forcing you to slow down the movement of the writing, and that little movement. Let me just try and do this again. So I'm going to press harder so you have a better idea of what I'm trying to achieve here. Inhale. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's really about sort of getting around that circle rather than approaching it like this. because that's more of a Spencerian shape. So trying to get you away from that Spencerian shape so that you have more of a sort of English round hand feel to the structure of the letter, which is more oval, more elliptical rather than an oval shape. So what that does is it then changes the relationship. So those of you that who follow my studies in Copperplate script would know that when I make an L, my L goes down and up, and so the parallelogram is here, half of the parallelogram, and down, and the full parallelogram at the bottom. So I do that because, you know, if you have a double parallelogram like this, and you have a double L, you will end up with the two tops of the L's touching each other. Now, for the new material, what you'll get is you'll be using that full parallelogram to start with. So the first set of grids really tries to help you to stick to this double length. And whereas you're thinking you're going 1 1/2 and a whole, we're actually going to go and from the X height, down and around and up and out and press and around and press to slow you down, and down and press and up. So what this does is it really forces you to really take your time on the turns and the downstroke and the turns. It's really important to slow down right there, because if you don't slow down right there, what you end up with is an undershooting. So you sort of shoot out of the shape rather than staying on that vertical. So what we're going to get is we're going to get down and up and out, kink, and down and around and up. So the letter is actually including the first part of the ligature, a previous letter, around the turn in the ligature, a kink in the ink, up to the ascender line, a turn, a stop, rather slowing down, straight down on that 55, a little press on the pencil to slow you down as you manage that turn, a little press again to keep you on that turn rather than shooting off at an angle. And then you go up. Now, as I've said before, this is all about training. It's about training you to see the letters in a different way, to approach them in a different way, so that when you actually come to writing with a pointed nib, you have a much greater respect for the turns rather than just throwing the tool around the turn. Now, the idea is for you to go from here one parallelogram, 2, 1 1/2, and a whole. So technically, I'm just going to zoom out there. That means basically what you're going to end up doing is, let's just write a word. So we go So in the practice stage, what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep on those 55s. So we're using really wide ligatures. Obviously, when it comes to writing slightly smaller, we use slightly narrow ligatures. And I've actually started in that 55 grid, and I've come back to end up in it because I've gone from a full width to a half width. But of course, achieving these smooth turns are really difficult when the turns are tighter, unless you've studied them when they're a little bit wider. So these are my guidelines. They're new guidelines, which I haven't released as yet, but we're looking at releasing them either at the end of this week or sometime maybe next week, because we're just trying to come to terms with this coronavirus madness in the UK. So once again, just to remind you, these are new guidelines. They're not available yet, and that they are to really help those of you who want to work on your Copperplate script spacing and letter form structure. It's sort of really critical. So the guidelines work well with a Rodeo 19 pad. They work well with a Rodeo 18 pad. They work well with the Beam Fang marker pad, the Canson marker pad. They work really well with. For those of you in the UK, they work really well with the London Graphics Centre layout pad and with the Dale Rowney layout pad. So it's really great, and the practice is really to start with a pencil. So I'll do another post on this, a longer post. Not as long, but I'll do a post on it on my Instagram and leave all that information on there so you could get to it once it's up and out. Okay, great. So I hope you guys are feeling okay, and don't get too stressed about the coronavirus situation. Be very careful. Just, be careful. Be nice to people. I've seen people get into fights outside over, toilet paper, over nonsense in supermarkets when, all it would take is just to be courteous, So keep your hands clean. Don't touch your face. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.